Look at Paddy, the Conor McGregor wannabe. Like, you don't want to see that guy with this gay little bowl cut. You can't relate to that guy, that English little prick. What are you English too? When England took your nuts and said you can't own a knife, did it hurt? Isn't England like the most surveyed state?
When it comes to Sean Strickland, his style might look simple, but there are very clear cracks in his game. And if you know how to exploit them, you can make a world-class fighter look ordinary. The number one way to beat Strickland is pressure. Strickland thrives when he's the one walking forward, jabbing and dictating pace. But when the tables turn, when someone puts him on the back foot, suddenly his offense almost disappears. We saw the best example of this in the second Dricus Du Plessis fight. Strickland wasn't just beaten, he was shut down. He threw only a handful of strikes per round, struggled to find his rhythm, and looked like he had no real answers once he was being pushed backwards. For a guy with his level of experience, that performance was one of the least threatening championship outings we've seen in years. The second weakness comes from his stance. Strickland stands tall and wide in a way that makes him very easy to take down. Du Plessis proved this by shooting through him almost at will.
Did you see TDP and Khamzat got announced?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Where's that gonna be at?
Chicago.
Oh no. They're letting the terrorists in.
Do you think he beats TDP or do you think TDP retains?
It's hard. So those little Chechen, they can grapple. And like someone like me who I've been training with these for years, I usually could counter wrestle and grapple them.
Yes, Strickland is tough to hold down, but his scrambling ability is underrated. But the fact remains, if you can change levels and get in on his hips, you're going to put him on the mat. So if you're preparing for Sean Strickland, the formula is clear. Apply constant forward pressure. Don't let him settle into his jab games and takedown attempts. Even if he pops right back up, it drains his gas tank and keeps him off balance. Force him to fight backing up. That's where his game collapses. Strickland is durable, disciplined, and gritty. But when someone pressures him and combines it with wrestling threats, he's shown that he can crumble. And in the UFC, that blueprint has already been written. Next up, we've got Paddy Pimblett. He's one of the UFC's biggest personalities. But when it comes to his actual fighting style, there are some very real vulnerabilities that top-level opponents can exploit. The biggest hole in Pimblett's game is his striking, while his grappling is slick and his submissions are dangerous.
Paddy, on a Full Send podcast, you had some words for Arman Tsarukyan. What prompted you to say that, and did you hear his response?
Yeah, to see his response, it tickled me, made me laugh. It's just being honest, you know what I mean? I'm just brutally honest, I can't lie. If someone ever get asked about someone, I'm gonna be honest.
On the feet, he's just not polished. Look back at his fight with Tony Ferguson, a version of Ferguson who was far past his prime, and Paddy was still getting tagged repeatedly. He looked wild, sloppy, and easy to hit. Now, to give credit where it's due, Pimblett has shown improvements. Against Michael Chandler, for example, his range and physicality gave him an edge. But here's the reality. Any elite lightweight striker with composure and technical discipline is going to have success standing with him. Another factor is physicality. Pimblett often uses his size and length to overwhelm opponents. Against someone smaller, he can control distance and bully them into exchanges. But put him against a fighter who's equally rangy or stronger physically, and that advantage disappears fast.
So if he wants to assure his title shot, he has to fight with Justin Gaethje, because if he fights with Arman, I think that Arman's going to beat him. So the easiest path he has right now to get the title shot is Justin.
Okay, thank you.
Stylistically.
Thank you.
So how do you beat Paddy Pimblett? The blueprint is simple. Keep it standing. Avoid the takedown scrambles where his jiu-jitsu shines. Stay composed and pick him apart. His striking defense is leaky, and he often leaves his chin exposed. Match or exceed his physicality. Take away that size advantage, and his tools look far more ordinary. If a fighter like Max Holloway ever shared the Octagon with Pimblett, the difference in striking fundamentals would be night and day. Or take someone like Ilia Topuria. Despite being smaller, his knockout power and precision would be more than enough to end the fight.
This is how we win. We game plan, we use our fight IQ, and we beat motherfuckers up. Anyone else got any questions?
Who would you like to fight next?
Anyone in the top 4, top 5? I want that world title.
The truth is, Paddy Pimblett's hype is real, but the roadmap to beating him is wide open. Now let's talk about two of the most talked about fighters in the UFC right now, Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis. These two are on a collision course, but their paths to victory and their weaknesses couldn't be more different. When it comes to Khamzat, we've all seen the same pattern. He explodes out of the gate, blitzes forward, and drags opponents into deep water. with his wrestling. The problem? His style is built on intensity. If you can survive that early storm, cracks start to show. The blueprint to beat Chimaev starts with cardio. You need elite conditioning to weather his pace.
That guy is strong, couldn't finish. Respect that guy. The only champion who was saying my name. This guy has big heart. Real lion. African real lion. Thank you, brother.
Well, Khamzat, enjoy this moment. Congratulations, sir. You're the new middleweight champion of the world.
Thank you very much.
The second key is technical grappling, not necessarily to out-grapple him. Very few people can, but enough to avoid being completely dominated on the mat. Robert Whittaker found this out the hard way. Despite his world-class skills and legendary stamina, he looked helpless once Khamzat got on top of him. But here's the truth. Khamzat's striking is solid, but far from elite. If you can neutralize the takedown threat and keep the fight standing, suddenly he looks very beatable. Fighters with elite takedown defense and crisp boxing, someone like JDM, could pose serious problems. On the flip side, we have Dricus Du Plessis, a fighter with one of the most unorthodox styles in the UFC. He's awkward, he's unpredictable, and he's relentless. But that same unorthodox style is also the opening for how to beat him.
The odds makers are going to say, the first round, of course, if Khamzat wins, and if it ends before 2 rounds, it's Khamzat all day. I would extend that after seeing this to even the first 3 rounds. 4 and 5 is what I want to see.
Technically, Du Plessis isn't sound. He relies on grit, chaos, and pressure. And while that can overwhelm average fighters, true specialists expose it. Against a grappler like Khamzat, he risks being mauled on the ground. Against a striker like Alex Pereira, his lack of defensive fundamentals could get him dismantled on the feet. So here's the blueprint. To beat Khamzat, survive the first round, have airtight takedown defense, and drag him into deep waters where his striking looks average. To beat Dricus, be a specialist. Whether it's elite-level grappling or world-class striking, a technical master can pick him apart.
The lead up to this fight, I said, I bet the main event is the fight of the night. Didn't see that coming, but not shocked either. I mean, you go in and dominate the way that he dominated. You can do it the first round. One likely going to do it the second and throughout the rest of the fight.
And that's why this matchup is so fascinating. Khamzat's suffocating grappling makes him the favorite. But if Du Plessis can withstand that early storm and turn the fight into a war, he's dangerous. Still, history suggests that when these two styles collide, the more polished specialist usually wins. Now, if there's one fighter who looks nearly untouchable at the moment, it's Ilia Topuria. Undefeated, ferocious, and already a world champion, Topuria has torn through the featherweight division. But even for him, there's always a blueprint, however slim, for how to beat him. The truth is, Topuria is one of the most well-rounded fighters in the UFC today. He has crisp boxing, terrifying knockout power, and elite grappling. At lightweight, there's hardly anyone who matches him skill for skill. That's why many fans, and even analysts, believe the only way to beat him is to bring something he simply can't match: size. Topuria has bullied smaller fighters, but against someone naturally bigger, that physical advantage disappears. Imagine him moving up to welterweight. Now he's facing opponents who are taller, longer, and just as powerful. That's where someone like Jack Della Maddalena comes in. JDM has boxing sharp enough to trade with Ilia, strong takedown defense, and the sheer size to absorb what most lightweights couldn't. So how do you beat Ilia Topuria? Come from a bigger weight class. Featherweights and most lightweights simply won't have the durability. Match his striking with precision and range. A technical boxer with reach is key. Stay disciplined under pressure. Topuria thrives when opponents panic. Composure is everything. At 45, Topuria may look unbeatable. At 155, he's still the favorite against anyone. But once you put him against a bigger, equally technical opponent, the playing field changes. And that might be the only way to crack the Topuria code. Next up is the lightweight king himself, Islam Makhachev. Known for his Dagestani wrestling, suffocating control, and calm composure. He's one of the toughest puzzles to solve in MMA. But there is a roadmap. We saw flashes of it in his first fight with Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski's striking was sharp. He was landing clean, and he was making Islam uncomfortable in the exchanges.
People say that because of that, Islam deserves some maybe pound for pound #1 rankings.
He's already the pound for pound #1 rank.
But is he yours?
Yeah.
Now you know, Dana, now you know. Honestly, I'm very happy because now nobody can say something. I feel like #1 best fighter in the world right now.
The problem was size. Volkanovski simply wasn't big enough to turn those shots into fight-ending damage. That's the key to beating Islam. You need elite boxing with size and range. Someone like Jack Della Maddalena again comes to mind. bigger than Islam Rangier and one of the best boxers in the UFC right now. A fighter like that can force Islam into prolonged striking exchanges, where his stand-up looks serviceable but not world-class. But the second piece of the puzzle is obvious. Takedown defense. Islam's biggest weapon is the ability to drag fights into his world when things get close. Time and again, when his striking is even, he shoots, he trips, he ties you up, and that's where he wins rounds. If you can stuff those attempts, suddenly he's forced into a style of fight he's not as dominant in. So the blueprint to beat Islam Makhachev is this: high-level boxing and composure on the feet, range and size to turn strikes into real damage, an elite takedown defense to neutralize his plan. Most lightweights don't have that combination, but a bigger, well-rounded fighter with the right tools, like JDM or even a large, disciplined welterweight, could finally crack the armor of Islam Makhachev. Now we move to the heavyweights. Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. Two of the most athletic big men we've ever seen in the UFC, but with very different strengths and weaknesses. Tom Aspinall looks like a nightmare matchup for almost anyone. Fast hands, explosive power, and a ground game sharp enough to finish fights in minutes. But that explosiveness is also where his vulnerability lies. Fighters who rely heavily on speed and power often slow down when dragged into deep waters. So how do you beat him? You need to be a cardio-heavy grappler. Someone who can survive the opening round, force clinches, push the pace, and test whether Aspinall can keep that speed into the championship rounds. We haven't seen many people do it, but the blueprint is clear: grind him, make him wrestle, and test his gas tank. Ciryl Gane, on the other hand, is almost the complete opposite. Slick footwork, high-level striking, and technical movement for a man his size. But his weakness has been exposed time and again. Wrestling. Against fighters with strong grappling bases, Gane has looked lost.
All right, now, UFC 321, October 25th, Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. Tom Aspinall will face Ciryl Gane. Aspinall has 15 wins, and all of them are by finish. Gane is the #1 ranked heavyweight.
Francis Ngannou, not even known for his wrestling, outgrappled him. John Jones took him down instantly and submitted him. So here's the formula for Aspinall. Be a durable grappler with cardio. Survive early, then drag him late. For Gane, put him on the ground. His striking is elite, but if you can take him down, the fight is yours. In short, Aspinall's test is endurance. Gane's test is wrestling. And at heavyweight, where one mistake can end the fight, both men remain dangerous, but definitely not unbeatable. To close things out, let's look at two of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC, Alex Pereira and Charles Oliveira. Both are dangerous finishers, but both also have clear openings that opponents can exploit. Alex Pereira is one of the most decorated strikers ever to compete in the UFC. His knockout power is legendary, and his precision is terrifying. But there are two ways we've seen that you can beat him. The first is the obvious one: elite wrestling. For years, fans believed all you needed was a strong grappler to expose Pereira's lack of MMA experience. While he's improved his takedown defense, someone like Khamzat Chimaev could still drag him down and dominate on the mat. The second way, though, is subtler: speed and fundamentals in striking. At 38 years old, Pereira isn't the fastest anymore. Against Magomed Ankalaev, his timing was off, and he struggled to see some of the shots coming. A younger, quicker striker with clean boxing technique can outwork him, even on the feet. Now Charles Oliveira, Bronx, one of the most exciting fighters in MMA history. His jiu-jitsu is otherworldly. His offense is relentless, and he's beaten some of the biggest names in the sport. But with Oliveira, the weakness has always been the same: his striking defense. He gets hit a lot. Oliveira is dangerous because even when dropped, he recovers quickly and threatens submissions. But elite knockout artists with discipline can take advantage. Fighters like Ilia Topuria, with crisp, powerful boxing, are tailor-made to expose Charles's tendency to walk forward with little head movement. Yes, elite grapplers like Islam Makhachev have also beaten him by staying safe in his guard, but that's a much riskier path, because even top wrestlers can get caught in his submissions. The safer blueprint is striking. If you can keep it standing and land clean, Oliveira's chin and defense give you openings. So the paths are clear. Pereira, exploit him with wrestling or fast, fundamental striking. Oliveira, avoid the ground, keep it standing, and target his defense with power shots. Both men are capable of highlight reel finishes against anyone in the world, but like every fighter, they're not untouchable. With the right game plan, even legends can be cracked. At their best, all these fighters look unstoppable, but every fighter has a weakness, and in the UFC, the right game plan can change everything. So I want to hear from you. Which fighter on this list do you think is truly the hardest to beat? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more fight analysis just like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next